There are so many things that The Elder Scrolls Online never explains to new players, things that you only learn after playing the game for hundreds of hours, such as how to take less damage while casting your skills, how to fast travel completely for free, or how to boost your mount speed permanently without using stables. Well, don't worry, I've compiled all the best ESO secrets for you in this video, and each one gets progressively better, so make sure to stick around all the way until the end. But this first secret is so important to the game that I made sure to put it first so nobody can miss it, and that is how to unlock the secret invisible buff in ESO that regenerates ultimate. As you can see here, just casting my abilities alone does nothing to generate ultimate on my character. I'm casting skills and my ultimate number is just stuck. That's because this secret buff to generate ultimate comes from light attacking. Watch what happens now when I weave in just one light attack after an ability. Boom, my ultimate number is now increasing. In fact, I'll now get 3 ultimate every second for 9 seconds, even if I do nothing afterwards. So light attacking in between abilities in ESO is incredibly important. You'll even gain ultimate after that enemy dies. Heavy attacking does the same thing, by the way. Just know that in both cases, you won't see any buff or icon on your screen. As I said, it is a hidden buff, but as long as you've done one of those 2 basic attacks in the last 9 seconds of combat, you should be generating new ultimate. Before we move on, a quick word from today's video sponsor, Amerzone, the Explorer's Legacy. First released in 1999, Amerzone is a legend in the point-and-click adventure game genre, and this much-anticipated remake pays tribute to that original classic title while still offering a fresh and dynamic approach to the genre in 2025. Developed by Microids Studio Paris, Amerzone mixes realism and poetry, deep backstory, and the wonder of discovery. You play as a young journalist entrusted with a crucial mission to cross the globe and reach the heart of a mysterious, faraway land built by years of secrets, the Amerzone. You explore profoundly realistic and sometimes eerie environments in search of the truth, facing multiple riddles as you did in the original, but enriched with new features, new clues, and even tougher puzzles as you attempt to solve the case of the Great White Birds. Amerzone also features fascinating and complex characters to interact with, which have their own deep backstories that you must unravel in order to fix the errors of the past, and you'll be able to select from multiple difficulty options to better customize your adventure, including the challenging adventure mode for increased puzzle difficulty or traveler mode for a more relaxed and immersive experience. Within this distant land where past and present overlap, fulfill the explorer's final wish in Amerzone, the Explorer's Legacy, releasing April 24th, 2025 on Steam, GOG, Epic Games Store, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S, and you can check it out now using my link in the description and the pinned comment below. Thanks again to Amerzone Explorer's Legacy for sponsoring this video. Up next, let's talk about all the different ways you can fast travel in ESO completely for free, and there's many different ways you can do this. Now, most people know about Wayshrines, but they are actually doing it the wrong way. Let's say I'm over here, and then I open my map and choose a Wayshrine I want to travel to. Well, I have to pay gold, and I have to go through this long extended animation that can even be interrupted by enemies or NPCs. Now, the amount of gold that you have to pay actually depends on 2 things here. It's a combination of your level plus the amount of time in between your last fast travels. Now here on my max level character, it costs a minimum of 146 gold for a fast travel. But if I want to fast travel again, it's going to cost way more gold, over 1,000 in this case, because like I said, this is actually time-based. And after a few minutes, it'll go back down to that baseline cost. But like I said, we don't want this, we want to fast travel for free. Well, it's actually really easy to do. You just start your fast travel at another Wayshrine first. Watch here as I approach this Wayshrine, hit the use button, my map will open up automatically, and any other Wayshrine destinations that I click on are now completely free. So that is option number 1. Now I know what you're probably thinking, what if you're, far away from a Wayshrine and you still want to fast travel for free? Well, that's where a starter house can really be an advantage. You can see that I've picked up the basic starter house in the city of Volkelgard, and I can recall here, or fast travel in other words, completely for free. I also have the option of going inside my house or outside. Let's say I want to just fast travel outside. You can see I still have the animation, but it didn't cost me any gold. Now the great thing is, since the Wayshrine is literally right outside my front door, I can now go to a Wayshrine, click into it, and I can now travel to any other Wayshrine in the world completely for free. There are also many other free starting homes that you can unlock. These are basically small apartments that are located in some of the other major cities in Tamriel, and you can pick up all of those as well for more fast travel destinations. But now that we're talking about homes as fast travel options, another newish system that you can use is actually called Home Tours. This is under the Activity Finder, and this lets you teleport to other people's homes in the game on your server. These houses are located all over the map, so basically you could just pick, whatever one that you want to start with, then check it out by traveling to the home. Once you load into the home, just turn around and find the exit. And now you've potentially unlocked a completely new zone that you've never been to before, and you can just travel around here and unlock the Wayshrines here. Another option for free transportation, I told you guys there were tons of options here, is to use the social menu, go to guilds, and based on your guild membership, you can actually travel to other players who are on the roster of your guild. So you simply click on somebody's name who is online, and you choose travel to player, and that's going to basically fast travel you to their nearest Wayshrine completely for free in whatever zone that they're in. So that's another great way to travel for free. Obviously, you do need a guild, so make sure that you have joined some guilds in ESO. It's a great thing that you can do, and you can even use the Guild Finder tool, which is under that social guild menu. You can browse guilds of all different types: group PvE, roleplay, social, PvP, questing, crafting, and so on. Most of these don't have any requirement, and you could just simply apply and you'll get in. And then you can teleport to any of those guild members who happen to be online at the same time as you. And there's one more option that is also free, and this is going to be great for traveling to different zones that you haven't been to before. The way you can do this is to head to your dock for your main starting city. In this case, I'm in Volkelgard. This is the zone of Auradon. And if I head to the docks, you can see there's different boats here, which actually take me to different destinations. So I have one for Davin's Watch. That's a completely different Alliance faction from me. I can go to Somerset. I can go to Grotwood and Reaper's March. So some of those, Grotwood and Reaper's March, that's how I can actually access some of these internal zones, which are from my same faction. But you can also travel to different faction zones. So you can see in this one, I have travel cross Alliance to Stonefalls and Glenumbra. That would take me all the way up here. So here you can see an example. You can travel within your same alliance. Can you take me to another alliance? So there's Stonefalls for Ebonheart Pact. There's Glenumbra for Daggerfall Covenant. But let's say I want to go to Reaper's March. It's actually like the last zone technically in the Aldmeri Dominion faction story. And now I can travel there instantly for free, even though I've never been there to this zone before. Now I've discovered the main city, which is a very popular city for trading. And I can unlock the Wayshrine as well. So in that starter house, I can also use this to my advantage with something called an armory station. And I can use this to reset my attributes, reset all my skill points for free as well. Now, the armory station is also free. You can get this in the Crown store. You don't have to buy it. It is free. And what this basically allows you to do is it lets you store your build. Now, by default, you'll get 2 build slots where you can sort of save your progress. So let's say I want to save my current build here in slot number 1. But if you leave build number 2 empty, you can then switch to this at any time. And since this build is empty, like it literally has no equipped gear, it has no equipped skills, it has no saved attribute points. If you equip this build, you will reset everything completely for free. You can see my skill bars are now empty. And when I go to my attribute points, I now have those reset. And I have all my skill points back, and I can start unlocking the skills that I actually want. And keep in mind that this does reset everything. That includes things like your champion point loadout, whatever Mundus Stone you have equipped. Even your curse status, if you have werewolf or vampire status on your character, doing this free respec trick is going to reset those. Or because we can make our reset build whatever we want, that default build could include, our werewolf or our vampire status and our Mundus Stone, and just no skills and no attributes. Our next tip here has to do with saving yourself from destroying or deconstructing important items that are in your inventory or even in your bank. For example, one thing players frequently do when they come into town, just go to the crafting station and start deconstructing items that you don't need, but either for raw materials or to raise your crafting skill. Now, if there's something that you're saving for later, I definitely recommend that you use the lock option. This is going to keep it out of the crafting station so you can't deconstruct it. It'll also block you from selling this item to vendors. So to do that, we're just going to select the item with options and then click the lock option. Now you can do this even with higher level items that might be in your bank, such as these monster helms. I definitely want to lock these. I don't want to deconstruct these right now. Now that I've locked those, I can quickly go through my list and deconstruct everything. Don't forget, you can also deconstruct multiple items, selecting all these at once, and then deconstructing with just one click. Our next secret has to do with set collection. Now, if you didn't know, ESO has a system for this, sometimes called the sticker book, which tracks every set piece in the game and lets you recreate it later at a transmute station. But did you also know that picking up some set pieces doesn't necessarily collect it for you? What you have to do is actually either equip, sell, delete, or bind an item first before the game actually considers it to be collected. Now, you'll want to do this as fast as possible, especially if you're farming dungeon sets, and that is because ESO also has curated drops, meaning that if you've already collected a specific piece, like let's say a light armor helmet in this case, then that same piece won't drop again from another boss. Now, the quickest way to actually collect set pieces is to jump into your inventory and use the bind option. This will bind that weapon or armor or jewelry to your account, and you should see this notification appear right away telling you that it worked. Now, there are a ton of settings in ESO, some better than others, but I want to share two of the best options that have the most direct impact on your actual performance in combat. So to get started, we're going to head to the options menu and combat. Hopefully you have most of these on. For example, combat text is super helpful to see how much damage and healing you do. Buffs and debuffs are going to add those little icons above your health bar to help you track buffs and debuffs better. But I find that there's one setting that's super helpful with this, and it's actually towards the beginning here, and that is ability bar timers. Now, there's one setting for your current or your active skill bar, and then a second setting you want to turn on called back bar row. This is going to show another type of timer for your other skill bar. So you want to make sure both of these are turned on. So how this works now is when I use an ability, not only do I get the icon, but I also get a nice big number on the skill bar icon itself, so I can see exactly how much time is left for the duration of that buff. And since we also turned on the back bar buff timer, we'll actually see, I get that little yellow line right there, which is going to show me when the armor buff for vigor is going to actually run out. That way, if I'm fighting, using skills on my front bar, and I see, okay, my minor resolve buff is about to fall off, just recast it there. Now, this is even more useful, I think, for if you have a lot of back bar dots in your rotation. That back bar timer is going to be super helpful. So let's say that I want to use Stampede in this case as a back bar dot. You can see when I'm on my front bar, I have that gold or yellow meter, which is showing me exactly when Stampede is going to run out. Do a few abilities on my front bar, come back, recast, bar swap back. And it just makes it so much easier to actively manage my rotation and know exactly when my buffs and my dots expire. Now, there is one more incredibly important setting, especially if you have a lot of AoEs on your build that you need to aim. Some examples of that would be like the bow skill line. We have volley that needs to be aimed. For the sorcerer class, storm calling, we also have skills like lightning splash. So these are AoE dots, but they do need to be aimed in order to work. So how that looks is you press the ability, and then you have to sort of aim this circle, and then you have to click the ability again to actually fire it off. Here's an example using that lightning skill. And so it's just a little bit awkward. It takes a lot of time, and it doesn't really make for a smooth rotation. Now, that is the default setting, which I really do not like. We can change it, though, if we go into our options again. Instead of combat, we're actually going to go into the gameplay settings and look for quick cast ground abilities. Now, we were set up with automatic. Like I said, I really dislike how that works, so we're going to change this to on. How this is different is now once I click that ability, it's just going to fire it right away, right? I do not have to aim my cursor. I don't have to move this giant circle around. Just click it and it fires. So this is going to make it so much easier just to go through your rotation or your abilities. And a quick bonus tip here, since you do have that little bit of delay, when you're firing off an aimed skill like that, like volley, for example, that's a great opportunity to set up your rotation to bar swap. So I would want to cast all my abilities, my buffs, hit volley, bar swap to my front bar, and then I can be casting my front bar skills just when volley hits the ground, basically. Here's how that looks with lightning splash, or I could just do both, actually. Cast both of those, bar swap to the front. So you can see it does save you maybe a second or two in your rotation. It just makes it smoother overall. So that is a good way to practice bar swapping if you have those type of back bar abilities. But now another tip here, just in terms of your basic combat setup that I don't think a lot of people know about, is you can really mess around with the combat camera and customize it in many different ways. So one thing you can do without really setting up anything is you can zoom in and out with different keybinds. So on controller here, if you hold down the left arrow and then either up and down on the right stick, you can kind of zoom in and out just while you're in the game. That's without, messing with any of the settings at all. And I'm sure there's an option for that on keyboard and mouse as well. But even from here, which is the default, you can change how this looks. If you go into your camera settings, for example, third person FOV, I can get the camera to go out even further. Pretty much like the max would be like here, which is pretty darn far. So that's going to be really nice. If you're crafting, you're looking to pick up resources, or you're doing a lot of farming and combat, you're fighting against a lot of enemies at once, that's going to be really helpful. And of course, I like how you can, pull it in closer too if you want more of that Skyrim sort of style of combat. You can do that too, pulling it in and then adjusting it further with the third person FOV, something like that. For more of a Skyrim style of camera setting. And then you can even in the controls set the horizontal view. So, if you want to be a little bit more centered in the camera, you can play around with that too. So you can set up your camera in different ways based on your preference. So make sure you play around with those too. So a lot of times in combat in ESO, you may get overwhelmed. And one trick that definitely comes in handy, especially if you're facing off against stronger enemies, is called block casting. Block casting in ESO is something that actually lets you block and cast abilities at the same time, drastically reducing the damage you take while still being able to do other things like heal yourself back up. You can easily see how this works by holding down block and then casting some instant cast type abilities. For example, Honor the Dead here on my Magicka Templar. You can see my block is still active, by the way, because the shield icon is still present and my skill still works just fine. The only downside to block casting is that your stamina does not recover while block is held down, and if you're taking damage, your stamina will also drain. But this is even better when you consider that blocking will also keep you from being knocked down or staggered by enemy heavy attacks. Here you can see that when I block just in time, my damage taken is reduced, and I still stay in the fight, plus I can instantly cast my heal if needed, whereas if I don't block the heavy attack, I take much more damage and also get staggered. So even if I wanted to cast my heal right away, I can't. I have to either break free or wait for the stun to end. Now keep in mind, block casting only works again for instant cast skills, not skills with a channeled time, for instance Puncturing Sweep on the Templar. You can see this visually by your block icon disappearing even while holding down the block button during the duration of the channel. Now another secret here that I used so often, especially when I'm leveling up a new character, is how to power level my abilities. So I'm on my Arcanist right now. I think I just hit level 50, in fact, and I'm doing pretty good on my skills. I've got dual wield maxed, I've got one-handed shield almost there, but my two-handed skill line has sort of fallen behind, and so I want to level this up quickly to catch up to the rest of my skills. I'm already level 50, so I really should have this maxed. Now, the most basic way to do that is just to equip a two-handed weapon. Equip the same weapon from that skill line. So right now, I don't even have any abilities from the two-handed skill line slotted, but since I am using the weapon, it's still going to level that weapon up. Just it's going to be extremely slow. There you go. I leveled up my two-handed skill without even using any two-handed abilities. Now, in order to power level, the way this works, so you can think of your basic weapon, giving you like a 1x multiplier in terms of how fast that weapon skill levels up. Now, if I add additional skills to the skill bar, let's say that I just put on, uppercut, put it right here. Now the game is going to consider you having basically twice the experience gain for that two-handed skill line because I'm using a two-handed weapon and I have one two-handed ability slotted. So I basically have, 2x multiplier when it comes to leveling up that two-handed skill line. Or in other words, that skill line is going to level up twice as fast. So with that in mind, if you really, really want to, speed things up, what you would just do is slot as many skills from that skill line as possible. So if I could put another skill, so now I have my two-handed weapon and I have two 2H abilities, I am now leveling up that skill line 3 times as fast. Imagine if you had all 5 skills being two-handed abilities, you'd be leveling up 5 times as fast from the skills plus an extra multiplier from using that two-handed weapon. So now my two-handed skill line is progressing much, much faster. The other really cool secret about power leveling your skills in ESO is that you don't even need to use the same weapon for that skill to level up. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's say I'm closing in on my two-handed levels, but I want to, unlock some destruction staff skills. Well, I can actually do both at the same time. So maybe I'll have 2 or 3 two-handed abilities. I have my two-handed maul equipped. And then over here, I'm going to actually equip a destruction staff skill. Now, obviously, I can try to click the button. You can see it's grayed out. I even get a message on the top right of my screen. Ability requires destruction staff. That's fine because I don't want to use it. I just want to level it up. And so again, the way that ESO levels up most skills, weapon skills especially, class skill lines as well, is you just have to have the skill on your bar when you earn experience. That could be from, killing enemies. It could be even from just turning in quests or discovering locations, getting achievements. Whatever skills are on your bar are going to level up those skill lines. Like I said, even if you don't have that weapon equipped. In this case, you can see there I got a level up for my destruction staff without even using it. Now, if you have played the Elder Scrolls Online at all on a new player, you know that one of the most slowest things you can do is try to level up your mounted riding speed, basically how fast you travel with your mount. Now you can go to the stable master, you can train up your riding speed, but you can only do that once per day. So that takes a long time to build up. That's why I love this trick. And you can do this as early as level 10 to get a 15% movement speed while mounted. Now, how you get this is through a passive skill that comes from the assault skill tree that comes from PvP. And even if you don't really like to PvP, there's a couple ways you can level this skill line up very quickly. All you need is rank 3 to unlock this skill. First thing you want to do is go to Cyrodiil, do the Introduction to Cyrodiil quest. That'll get you immediately to rank 2 of the PvP skill lines. You're almost there already, plus you'll get some free skill points. Now to get to rank 3, you'll just need a few more alliance points. That's the currency that you earn in PvP to level up your PvP rank. And to get additional alliance points, my favorite way is just to do a couple of quick battleground matches. First, talk to the battleground gladiators. They're usually located in every major city. Pick up the starting quest because you can get some additional alliance points just for doing this quest. Basically, we'll have you do one battleground match. Battlegrounds are just instanced PvP with different match types like deathmatch, capture the relic. And the great thing about this for farming this skill line is even if you lose the match, if your team doesn't win, you still get alliance points, you still get experience. So if you do 1 to 2 matches, by then you should have enough alliance points to get this skill line to rank 3, which is all you need for this passive. The passive works no matter where you are, PvP, PvE zone, it doesn't matter. It gives you a massive bonus to your riding speed. All right, so here's another really interesting secret. This is going to be especially for players who have alts. So basically, you're leveling up a new character, but you've played ESO before and you have at least one character over level 50. So here's a alt that I'm leveling up currently, level 30 Magicka Warden. But if I go to my champion points, again, level 30, you can see I am fully equipped with champion points. How does that work? Well, basically, it's a really cool feature of the leveling system of the Elder Scrolls Online. And that is your champion points are actually not character-based, they are account-wide. And that means if you've earned champion points on any other character, you can use those points across all your characters, even at level 1. And I don't always bother to do this, but you do get some pretty nice benefits. And since you've already earned these champion points on a level 50 plus character, you might as well use them, right? So some options you can think about adding that are really helpful. Movement speed is big. Steed's Blessing gets you an extra 20% movement speed. Steadfast enchantments make those weapon enchants last a little bit longer. Treasure Hunter when you're farming that low level gear to give you some better results. In the blue tree, it doesn't make a huge difference, but you can add in some damage stars. Here I have Biting Aura, Master at Arms. You could definitely go down here into Staving Death and pick up some defensive stars. These will make a huge difference as you're trying to level up, especially if you're doing group content. Preparation is a big one. That's 10% damage reduction. And then actually I find the red CP tree to be probably the most helpful as you're leveling up. So you could get, extra recovery, get some extra max health. That'll be definitely helpful. And then personally, I would go into both of these sustain options. So Bloody Renewal, this is going to give me 1500 stamina when I kill an enemy, and then Siphoning Spells is going to give me 1500 magicka. Sustain is one of the most difficult things about leveling up a new character in ESO, so having these both unlocked is going to actually make a huge difference. This last ESO secret is my absolute favorite because every time I mention it, it blows some players' minds and saves them literally dozens of hours. But before we get there, if you've gotten any value from this video so far, do me a huge favor and crush that like button to let YouTube know to share this video with others. I would definitely appreciate it. And if you'd like to support the channel further, then definitely check out our YouTube membership, where we have tons of great perks like members-only guides and builds that you won't find anywhere else. Like our two-hand only Barbarian build, which uses 0 class skills and is so much fun to play. More info on our YouTube membership can be found in the description or by clicking on the join button down below. But our last secret here has to do with mythic items like the Oaken Soul Ring, which is one of my favorites. And it's the fact that if you want to use these mythic items on multiple characters, for example, you don't have to farm all the leads again. You don't have to build the mythic. You don't have to do the scrying and the excavation. All you need to do is reconstruct the mythic. So you can see I have a bunch of Oaken Soul Rings that I've reconstructed for myself, and I'm going to use these on multiple characters because it's such a great item. Now to do this, all you need to do is head to a transmute station like the one that's available in Clockwork City. From here, open it up and click on the Reconstruct tab. We're going to head down to Miscellaneous and Antiquities, and it's here where you can see all of the mythic items that you've collected, like the Oaken Soul Ring that I was showcasing earlier. The other great thing about this is that it's so cheap, right? I don't even need crafting materials, and I only need 25 transmute crystals instead of like 75, because this set, the Oaken Soul Ring set, is already fully collected, right? There's no more pieces to collect. So to reconstruct a mythic, I always get the lowest possible cost. So yeah, it costs no materials, it costs only 25 transmute stones. The only thing is you will need to have a particular trait researched for that piece. So if it's a ring, you need to have some ring traits researched to reconstruct it. But yeah, I'll just make one more so you can see how easy it is. There you go. You can have infinite mythic items for all your characters, basically anytime that you want. But hopefully you found this guide to ESO's best secrets helpful. If you're new to ESO, you probably will benefit even more from a full beginner's guide to the Elder Scrolls Online. And for that, just click on the video that's on your screen right now, and I will see you there.